Hello, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and today we are going to be talking about structuring today's businesses to be adaptive and flexible. If you're looking, this is you're taking me for an online class or a face-to-face class, or you're just doing listening to this just to get a quick overview of structuring organizations to be adaptive. Let me just go, when you go through the reading, they're going to be talking about mechanistic and organic type of organizations. How do I structure them? Real quick, this is the basic. What type of organization do you work for? Mechanistic, structured, like a machine. Very rare to change. You could change it, you have to take out part, very complex to change a machine, the configuration. A flexible type of organization adjusts to the environment. So mechanistic, a machine, in your mind, visualize this. A flexible, think of a plant, a flower. The sun shines, it grows. It gets cold, it shivers. It basically adjusts to the environmental forces, internal, external. So that's how most organizations have to be. Like it or not, we don't live in a vacuum. We live in a very flexible, adaptive situation. Okay? And a good thing about this, if you look at how some companies had to deal with the COVID-19 outbreak, some had problems. They're very mechanistic. It was too hard for them to change. The ones that are more flexible had no problem. The ones that are smaller businesses, more flatter, what you're going to read about, that means they don't have all these layers, a lot easier to adjust because you don't have to do the bureaucracy, keep on going all the way up. You only have a few layers, it's easier to adjust. So if I'm looking at smaller companies, entrepreneurs, smaller to medium-sized companies, were able to adjust to this pandemic a lot easier than some of the larger ones. The multinational ones, usually if there's an issue in one area, will go someplace else. But since this hit globally, it affected them the same way. All right, so let's go. Structuring organizations. What do you need to know in this chapter? We're going to be talking about how do you structure and basically allocate tasks and everything else. When you first start off your business, it's easy. It's only me. I remember. As you start getting more and more, as your business grows, is what you want out of the business. Now you have to restructure your organization. You may have to bring a team player. You may have to bring another partner in. You may have to promote people to managerial or to do certain things to basically help you manage the company. You can't do it by yourself. Sometimes I have people come to my class and I'll say, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, I got 500 employees. How many managers do you have? 2. That's not enough for that much. When you look at span of control, you could do it if they're self-sufficient. You know, remember when you look at span of control, narrow and broad, read that, okay? Changing organizations. Okay, more global. Are they more global? They're more, if you look at the organization, everybody's global. Everyone's got to go global. Now you're looking at everyone's got to be nationalized. When I'm looking nationalistic, basically more regional. You're still working globally to buy stuff that makes sense, but you still try to do a lot of stuff on a regional basis. Come and bring it back in. Do some of the manufacturing within the host country instead of doing everything outside. So now you're basically bringing, so companies are changing. Some companies would buy everything out. Now because of tariffs and everything else, they're going to hate the cost to do it in China. We might as well do it here in the U.S. So the company has to adjust. Now, after the election, may go back the other way, but companies have to be flexible. A lot of companies are smaller and they're more flexible because they don't have all that baggage you got to carry. Okay? Design, mass production, economies of scale, average cost of good. Now, if I'm looking at the organization, and I think next chapter we're going to talk about operations. I'll cover it then. Floyd principles. If I look at Floyd, here's how all companies are structured, from small to large. Once you get more than just one employee, unity of command, all right, hierarchy, division of labor. Make sure you know these topics, especially unity of command, authority, who has the authority to do things, degree of centralization, how much do I control it, how much do I let my different districts or different offices control it. You have to have some structure centralized that here's the mission, but then they adjust depending on the market they're serving. Okay? All right, Weber's principle, and Weber again, right, is a follow trust and management. Weber's principle, if you look at bureaucratic organization, basically means all the trust is put into the way the company is structured is that management makes all the decision. Here's policies. Look, if you go to the driver's facility, right? Where you go in there, you don't have a piece of paper. Next, you have the. So it's very structured. They just follow procedures. This is what they have to do. They do very little decision making. It's all done by management through policies and rules. That's what Weber said. Promotion, rules, consistent procedures, organizational chart. Just basically, here's a pick. It tells you who belongs to what, who reports to what. It gives you a roadmap so you know this department here. Yeah. So if you're coming with a new department, you're coming with a new product. You have to look at how is it going to interface with production? How's it going to interface with my marketing? How's my campaign? So the vision of the company, if it's changing, it has to change through all the department, or maybe it's just one area that's changing. So the organizational chart helps you see where you have your people. If you have too much in here, say, man, we got a lot of management, not enough workers. Maybe we have to balance it or move things around. Okay, and we talked about bureaucracy, centralization, right? Decentralization. A lot of companies are being decentralized because they're flatter organization, not as much promotion. But what happens, I can make decisions real quickly. I'm a centralized, less responsive, less empowerment, but you have control. Remember, certain things have to be centralized. If I'm looking at pharmaceutical, you don't want to have it too decentralized. You have to have the control so everyone's doing the same thing, so your results are all the same, so you know your consistency. That's what you want. You don't want, we don't need this thing, we could just adjust it. You want the consistency. So centralization gives you the core value, the consistency. The outliners, the decentralized. So a lot of companies are not all centralized, the headquarters, everything else, and they're decentralized because now when they're out there, they could adjust to the market. If I look at Jewel, and I'm just picking Jewel right out here, right? If I look at Jewel Foods or Venture, not Venture, I mean Target, I'm old, Target or some of the other stores, Mariano's, everything else, they basically are very centralized for the buying, but they may have different products for different area. If I'm a predominantly Hispanic area, I may have more Spanish type of food. If I'm predominantly in a predominantly Jewish area, I would have more kosher food. If I'm predominantly in a Polish area, I have more. You see, so but the central bites are everything else, but they give the decentralized area their offsprings some latitude to adjust to the market. Okay, span of control. We talked a little bit about this in our leadership last time. So here's everything you need. I'm not going to go. Make sure you look at broad and narrow, and the trend is basically less middle managers and more empowerment to the individuals. Okay, let's see what else we have in here. Tall versus flat. Again, most bureaucratic organization very tall, a lot of levels. I'm in marketing, that's all I do. When I'm doing flat, I'm marketing. If you look at small businesses, they're marketers, they're HR. The person wears different hats, for lack of better words. It depends on the structure of the company. A lot of companies that start off as easier. As they get bigger, they need to have structure. Because it has to have it, because you got just too much stuff going on. You have to have something things, otherwise you lose control of that. Okay. Departmentization. Okay, now sometimes you could break it down by different departments. How you want to do it by advantage. That's a traditional way. I break it about marketing, advertising, everything else. Other ways to departmentalize would be by product, by function, by geographic, by customer group. There's no right way. Depends on your product. Depends on your service. Which works well for your company. Which works well for you. And sometimes you have to structure. This is not working now because we got to be more flexible. So you may get rid of this departmentalization and go more with what do you call it? Product or function. Okay, 4 ways to structure. Line. Okay, let's look at that. And remember, line is basically the manager making the decision. Staff and line is line personnel. Let me move this over a little. Hang on a second. Thing freezes up. I just have a lot of stuff on here. There we go. All right. So I've got everything on here for those who want it. Building a successful team. Teams are all about it. Zoom teams, everything. So when I build it, I have to already embed it that when I do the communication, it's a team based. So the structure, people know they work in this company. It's not down like a bureaucratic. We're a team. We're participative. We come up with solution, and I come up with solution. Different department. If I got different areas, they all come up with a solution for the same problem. That's usually what happens. And then we bring all the areas together and find out if we could come up with one a global solution that will take care of all the different areas. Okay, real-time business, real-time transparency, virtual corporations, just like you have virtual classes. Benchmarking is you benchmark against who's the best, and that's you try to become the benchmarker, so people look at you, or you say, here's where I'm striving to be as good as this company, and basically look at the dollars, look at how much inventory, what happens. Okay, and that's how you have to look at it. All right, so you're looking at benchmark transparency, let people be able, virtual companies, and I got to pick in here. It's this one product. If I'm looking at as a contractor, he or she's basically a virtual company. They are production, in this case, core distribution. They're all virtual. They don't have to meet. They have Zoom meetings and do everything else. All these people, this one controls it all, like integrated marketing, and they all work together in the virtual office and never meet. That's the trend going forward. I think COVID-19 opened that up. Adapting, culture, restructuring, re-engineering. You start from all over, create a new culture, organizational culture. How do I change the culture? Grapevine is the non. Look, you can't stop the grapevine. I'll throw this in here. You stop it all. That's like gossip, like a better word, a business gossip. Grapevine is the informal communication network of a company. I can't control it. Employees have it. I have to be able to manage it. You can't say, no grapevine. So what you have to do, you have some input from individuals that understand the grapevine, or know if I tell George something, the minute I tell him, he'll tell everybody else and it gets out. It's another way of disseminating information indirectly into the informal. When I give him my memo, when I have my meetings and tell him this is what we're doing, this is all formal communication. What I want is to tap into the informal. I said at the meeting, what the hell, Joe, what do you think? It's a bunch of BS. What happens if I get into the informal, formal, so I have to know who my informal leaders are. The last time we talked we're talking about the formal structure of the managers, everything. But you have a lot of informal leaders. They communicate through the grapevine. I have to tap into those informal. Just like in social media, you have some people that are basically the people who people go to. They're the key points. They're the ones who set the trend. They're the ones who people go to for information. Same thing in the informal in the company. Know the grapevine. Know who will spill the beans right away. Know who will keep the information quietly. And then how do I put stuff in information and see if the message comes back the way I intended it. Sometimes people trust the grapevine more than what the managers are doing, because they go to those informal leaders. You can't stop it. You have to be able to manage it. Organizational, again, formal and informal. All right, so we talked about that in here. And I think I had covered everything. I should be under 20 minutes. Now this, when I look at structure, look at it this way. When I first move in, just let me just 1 second. There we go, level 1. Okay, if I look at structure, when I first moved into my house, I liked it. I had a waterbed, I had a motorcycle, I had everything else. And then I tied a knot, I got married. No problem. Now what happened? I had to restructure. I have a family. The waterbed goes, it's a baby's room. What am I doing? Am I re-engineering or am I restructuring? I'm adjusting my operations to meet the needs that I need now. I don't still keep that and have the kid or the baby or my whatever in the hallway. No, I restructure. I move something. I don't need this anymore because my goals have changed. From my goals were here, have a good time, party, have fun. Now my goals are to settle down, be for lack of better, more reserved, because I have other people that are relying on me and I need to take care of that thing. So it's the same thing with businesses. So remember, And the culture changes. How I changed. How I did things once my family, my significant other moved in with me, then my culture changed. Now I picked up some of her bad habits, she picked up some of mine, and now the baby comes in. Or your choke, or offspring, or other people move into the family. It doesn't have to be kids. You could have another person move into your apartment to offset the rent. You're restructuring everything out. You have to do the same logic that you're doing now as an individual you're doing for companies. All right, so it just tells you which way to go, which way do you have the information, how you handle everything else. Again, let's see how many minutes I got. And I'll let you know in a second. 14 minutes. I got a few more minutes to talk. All right, so what else do I want to talk about? I got this, Weber. Remember, the chart is good, the bureaucracy, centralization. Floyd, you got to give him some kind of parameters. Weber, who's in charge? The biggest thing for small businesses is if I'm in charge, it's okay. Now I bring a partner in. Now he or she tells them to do something. Who's the responsible? That's why you start breaking up. It's a marketing decision, you come to me. If it's a production decision, it comes to you. You're not here and she needs some answers to resolve an issue. I, as a manager or an owner, could help you out, but then I will inform you. This is what I think you should do. In this time, I'll let that other person know, but you have to check with him or her. He's not there. I'm just doing this as a stopgap. So this way the individuals know who they report to, and it gives the structure. It tells you which areas you could eliminate, which areas are costing you too much, right? Because now you know marketing, you're spending too much money on dinners. Let's cut that out. Production, your quotas, because the marketing is doing a good job selling, you have to increase your production. You know what I mean? So now I could look at those areas. What you need more help? We'll hire everything. HR. Do you see me? So I'm looking at the structure and I'm adjusting the structure to what I need. A lot of companies change the structure. Look at some of the things because they weren't selling cars; they're doing ventilators. You know what I mean? Because whatever happened, because they had the machinery, so they changed the structure, and now they may not get rid of it. Hey, it's a good money maker on the side because so it is. Now I open up my thing into medical equipment. You see how I did? I didn't want to do it. It happened because I changed to be survival mode, and now that survival mode is making a profitability. Even though I'm going back to my original mission, but there's still some money in case I need it, or I'm into a new market indirectly. Should we expand it or should we terminate it? And it depends on the structure. All right. So now I have everything else, and this is really pretty good. The whole thing I want you to leave, you have to adapt. Same thing as a manager or as an individual. A lot of people only take face-to-face classes. Now you've taken online classes. Wouldn't it have been nice if you would have took a blended class earlier with me or some other instructor? Half online, half face-to-face. So when we flipped over to online, no issue. So do you see what I mean? So a lot of business understand that you have to adjust, and most of you adjusted real quickly, and now you're going, hey, this online stuff isn't really too bad, but I have to be consistent. All right, again, my name is Dr. George. I think our next the next one coming up would be operations management, and that one I'll talk about it's something you have to know how, even though you may not be manufacturing something, operation management will tie into what they call process flow. Again, my name is Dr. George, and thank you for this. And remember, look at the book, look at my concept map, look at the videos, look at all the supplemental information. If you're taking me on a fully online class, if you're just taking this and you happen to find a YouTube, sign up at a community college or a college is closer to you, or just take this as just general information. I do a lot of podcasting. I look at a lot of other individuals podcasting. It just gives me an idea. I know the information. I didn't think about that. You have to stimulate this thing up here called your brain. Don't keep it stagnant. I've only done it this way. No, now I got to do social media. I got to go online. I got to do this, and I'm adjusting. All right. I got my 20 minutes. I was trying to make 20 minutes. Bye. Stay safe.